just gonna be winging it today because I don't have my notebook.
Just do it. Just do it.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another video with your two favorite book nerds, Amy
and Kelly.
Today we're doing our October reading wrap-up for you guys.
Yes. Yay!
Oh yes, October, the busiest and best month of the year. It is a surprise to me that I managed to get any books read.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I wasn't expecting you. I was going somewhere with that, and then I just stopped like in the middle of the sentence. So
okay.
Anyway.
Ooh, we're off to a good start.
I think I started September wrap up, so Kelly's gonna start this one.
Okay, well, I read 4 books this month. I read The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie, which I gave 4 stars to. And then I read Haunting Charlie by Wendy Wang, which I gave 3 stars to. That was another of my, I don't read enough off Kindle Unlimited to support the money I pay them, so I've got to read some. And then I read The Har by David Sodergren, which I gave 3 stars. And finally, I read I read Elantris by Brandon Sanderson, which I gave 4 stars to. So my average was 3.5 for the month.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
All right. Well, I also read 4 books in October. I read The Guest List by Lucy Foley, which I gave 3 stars to. I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, which I also gave 3 stars. I read Camp Slaughter by Sergio Gomez, which I gave 4 stars. And I read Clown in a Cornfield 3 by Adam Cesare, which I gave 3 stars to.
Oh, no.
Yeah. My average rating for the month was 3.25. 3.3 stars.
Not bad.
So.
Okay, so I read a total of 1,643 pages for an average length of 411 pages. My longest book was Elantris at 638 pages. And the shortest book was The Har, which was 206 pages.
Nice. All right, I read a total of 1,415 pages for an average book length of 354, I'm rounding that up, pages. My longest book was Clown in a Cornfield 3, and my shortest book was, I think, Camp Slaughter.
So, authors. I had one that was a repeat, Brandon Sanderson. Everybody else was new. And I will read, goodness, I will. I will definitely read Joe Abercrombie. And I will probably read Wendy Wang at least once more. David Sodergren, I don't know. Because I don't know. I read The Har because I saw it recommended by someone else. And so I would have to go actually look up his other works and see what they are before I would commit to reading him again. So, not absolutely blown away to the point where I'm like, yes, I want to read everything this man's ever written. So, I don't know. Maybe. We'd see.
I had one author I've read from before, and that's Adam Cesare. All the rest were new to me, and I will read from all of them again. For sure. Yeah. It might have been like average stars, but I honestly, like, I enjoyed the books. They were good. They just weren't. They were just good.
They were good.
Good enough to read more.
Genres. Okay, so I had 2 fantasy. I had 1 horror and 1 paranormal, I guess. It was a ghost story, sort of. So
Paranormal.
Paranormal.
Good with that.
I don't know. Kind of mystery. I don't know.
I don't know.
Paranormal's not really a genre. Probably throw it in. I mean, a haunting
fiction. It's like a subgenre.
Yeah. Anyway, sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever.
We can call it a genre.
We can call it
this
whatever
is our video.
we want.
I had 1 thriller, one YA thriller, one YA horror, and horror. Horror is all over the place.
All right, yeah. Okay, so the books.
The books.
The books. All right, so it's the one that I actually have. The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie, which is the first in, I don't know if there's a name to this series or not. The first Law trilogy. I knew that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so The Blade Itself, the first in the first Law trilogy. So this book basically follows, for the most part, 3 different people. Logan, I don't know how to pronounce this. Jezal, and Glokta. And their journeys through this time in these places. Wow, that's informational, isn't it? So Logan is from the north. He is, I mean, it's very, these people are really Viking inspired sort of thing. So he's from the barbarian north, really big guy, really tough guy. They call him Logan Nine Fingers because he's missing a finger. Because he's also kind of been such a good fighter and kind of violent, they also call him the Bloody Nine.
That's a better nickname.
Yeah.
Logan Nine Fingers
Logan
is
Nine
so
Fingers.
just like, that is what he is.
Well, but in their society, their surnames are like something about them.
Oh.
That's how they do that. Okay.
That's fair.
All right. So you have him, and he's kind of on the outs with this kind of chief from one of their kind of clans has pretty much taken over and united all the clans and named himself king. And Logan, who used to work for him, they had a falling out, and so Logan is out. He's been exiled with this band of like 10 other guys. So they're kind of on the run. In fact, in the very beginning, the very first chapter is titled The End, and it's Logan and his group of guys in a fight, and Logan like goes over the side of a cliff, and so he gets separated from, and he thinks all of his guys are dead. But anyway, as he's kind of wandering and traveling and trying to figure out what to do, he comes across this guy that says there is a powerful mage who wants to meet with him. And so he goes off to meet with him. Jezal, whatever his name is, he is a very pampered, rich, wealthy, son of a wealthy guy. Anyway, he is in the city. He is in the army, in this group of soldiers called the King's Own, and he is preparing to be in this contest. They call it the contest. It's a fencing contest where the winner is usually, so popular, and it opens up all of these opportunities. And anyway, Jezal's dad wants him to do it, has basically forced him to do it, but really Jezal just likes to go out and drink and, mess around, be a player. And so that's kind of him until there are certain circumstances that force him to start being more into it. But he's a very like selfish, kind of like Tristan in the last book that we read.
Oh, Lord.
And then you have Glokta, who is an inspector. They call him, or Inquisitor, Inquisitor Glokta. So he is like a excellent torturer. And his body is all maimed up and twisted up because he was a former soldier in the army. He had won this contest before. Things were looking bright, but then there was a war with the South, and he was captured and taken into the Southern Empire, where he was tortured to the point where his body is just like completely, permanently maimed. And so he is on to this kind of conspiracy that's going on that may lead into places where, he shouldn't be going if he wants to keep his job or his life. So that is kind of and in the background of all of this, a new war, the guy in the north who Logan is on the outs with, the declared king, he is marching south and he is ready to declare war on the Union, but also the Southern Empire is gearing up again to kind of wage war. So the Union is going to be fighting a war on both fronts, and this is all kind of building up to that. So I had heard that Joe Abercrombie was very much a character. Not a lot of plot, but the character work is amazing, and it is. These three people are not good people. They are terrible people. But they're so well done, and they're so good to read about. So like Logan, I mean, I just really kept getting like Geralt vibes from him.
Which automatically means Kelly loves it.
Well, of course, I like it then. But, I mean, in a way, kind of, you know, like a Nordic Geralt. Mm-hmm. In a way, in the fact where he, like, doesn't want to get involved. He doesn't want to do much. He's just, like, wants to stay out of things. But he just keeps getting pulled in to all of this stuff. So, I really liked him the best. But Glokta was probably the most complex character. As far as, like, his inner monologue was so different from what he would say to other people. Like, he'd be in a meeting with his boss, and he'd be, like, inner monologuing about, you know, how crappy the situation was, how this guy was so stupid, and blah, blah, blah. And then out loud he'd go, yes, sir. I mean, and just so, he was always in so much pain because his body's all twisted up, and just the ways that his handicaps kind of hold him back, and how painful it is to him was just so well done. And how he's always talking about, like, he just has no interest in life at all, and just wouldn't it be, he talks about sometime, like, in the situation he's getting into, it's dangerous enough to kill him, and then he's like, would that be a bad thing? And, you know, kind of this way. So the character work is really good. Actually, I didn't think it was all that plot light either. I thought there was a pretty good plot going in here. It wasn't like one main thing that ended, like, finished in the end. You can tell it's very much just going through. It really was more about how these characters are moving through this point in time where all of this is building up. But the different events that were, there was a lot going on. So I really didn't think it was all that plot light, but I enjoyed it a lot. It's grimdark fantasy, so it's not a lot of hopeful, you know, everything, the good guys are gonna win and get it. These are not good people. There was probably not a good, like, if you would talk about, like, good and evil, there was not a good guy in the book. There really wasn't. But just the complexity of the characters that are there, really good, and I've already ordered the next one, so I'm looking forward to that. Okay, then, okay, so The Har, the book that I said that I would, if I got brave enough, that I would read it, because it is very much horror. It was described as a blood-soaked fairy tale. Hi, Sarge. You getting in on the action, too? You look over there.
All the animals
hello.
coming
We
to say
are.
hello today.
Everybody's visiting today.
Oh.
Okay, no, down. Get down. Get down. Hey. Sarge, get down. Good Lord.
He just wants attention and to be
He just like huffed. Like, ugh.
Go find your dad.
Yeah. Okay, so The Har. Okay, so I gave it 3 stars. It was okay. It was very much a straight up revenge type story. So there's this old woman, I think, what was her name? Miriam? Hang on a sec.
Pause.
Pause while I look this up. I should have looked this up before. Muriel.
You're close.
What was her husband's name? Okay, so it is about this older woman, Muriel Macaulay, who is living on the northern coast of Scotland. And her village is basically getting taken over by this developer who is wanting to destroy the entire place and build a golf course. And so Muriel and a couple of her friends are like the only holdouts here. And so one day, Muriel has gone down to the beach, and there's this cave that people used to go to, you know, have a little alone time. And so she's going there because she's like reminiscing about her husband. I think his name was Billy. Bill, I think that was his name. Anyway, when she gets there, she finds this other couple is already there and knows that it is the son of this guy, this billionaire who's buying up all the land in order to develop. And anyway, they're very mean to Muriel. And so as she's kind of walking back, she comes across this blob of something on the sand. And it's obviously alive, but she doesn't know what it is. And it's obviously in trouble, sickly and stuff. So Muriel decides she's just going to take it home. So the way they describe it, yeah, because why not?
That's logical.
Because why not? You know, she's like feeling sorry for this thing, and it obviously needs help, and she's going to rescue it. Okay, so she goes home and she gets a wheelbarrow. The way it's described, it's like a jellyfish is what made me think of it. Okay, so it's like jelly and squishy and tentacles. And so anyway, she gets it up in her wheelbarrow and she takes it home with her. And she knows it comes from the sea. So she fills her bathtub full of water and she puts it in the bathtub. Okay.
But like, doesn't it, I guess I don't, wouldn't the water in the sea be salt?
Well, yes.
Salt water?
Yes.
So like,
I don't know.
the pH wouldn't.
Yeah, go with it.
Okay.
Go with it. Because it doesn't really need water and salt water, as it turns out. So, okay, I really don't remember how this is a very short book. It goes on, I mean, it goes pretty quick, but yet sometimes it kind of felt like it didn't go very fast because not a lot of, I mean, I don't know. It's like a lot happened, but it didn't seem like a lot happened. But it is horror. There is a lot of body horror in this book, a lot of body gore. So yeah, if that at all bothers you, don't read this book. I can obviously read, I kept thinking if I was watching this like as a movie, would I be able to watch it? And I don't think that I could watch it, but it does not bother me to read about it.
That's fair.
So yeah. So anyway, in this, it turns out that this creature speaks to her in her mind. And she names it Avalon. And one time, I think this is what happens. She nicks herself, and so drops of blood fall into the water, and Avalon sucks up her blood out of the water, and it becomes stronger by doing that. So, while Muriel is out, I'm trying to remember how this went. It's been like, I read this at the very beginning of October. While Muriel is out, this developer hired thugs basically to go and wreck her house, or I think hired them to kill her is what I think, but she wasn't home.
That's extreme.
Anyway, they go in there and Avalon is there, but Muriel is not. So you can kind of guess what probably happened. So when Muriel comes home, her dead husband is sitting in their living room. So from her blood, Avalon knew her memories. And with all of this strength that he got from killing these in a very gory way that left quite a mess at Muriel's house, he made himself into her husband. Okay, so again, this developer's trying to force Muriel out. He's sending people in to take care of her. And now she's got somebody on her side. That basically, as long as he gets to feed it, it will do whatever Muriel wants it to do. Because Muriel saved it.
Wow.
So here we go. So that's, I mean, you can probably guess where this goes from there. So yeah, lots of gore, lots of body horror. I mean, obviously in a book like this, you could probably think that trigger warnings are a mile long, and they are. So the one I was not expecting, however, was the sexual assault trigger warning that needs to be in there. That's not the one I was expecting.
It's not the one you want.
Yeah, no, and not from Muriel either. I will say that. Nobody tries to harm, well, in that way, the little old lady. So yeah, lots of stuff. I was never creeped out by this book. I was never scared by this book. It was just a lot of body horror gore going on. Lots of killing going on. But I really was never scared by it or creeped out or it just, yeah, in that way it didn't. I do think the characters were not particularly great. Muriel herself was pretty good, especially as it got further along, and the longer that Avalon stayed as the image of her dead husband, she basically started to twist herself around to believing it was her dead husband, that he had somehow been tangled up with this creature in the sea and then came back to her through this creature. It was pretty good. So kind of that psychological thing of an old woman under a lot of stress and this thing. But other than that, it was like the good characters were like ultra good. The bad characters were like ultra bad. I mean, almost like comic book villain kind of bad. Mm-hmm. So like this billionaire developer, I mean, it was just over the top campy. Like he was everybody's media darling. So on TV, he always looked good. But then as soon as the cameras were off, he turned into like the big asshole. It just wasn't well done in that way. But it was 200 pages long. So for a short, quick, gory read, it wasn't bad. I actually did look up the Har because I thought maybe that was some kind of Scottish folk tale that I just didn't know about, because I was not getting the fairy tale part of this. Unless this was supposed to be like some sort of merman or something. But, you know, I never know. And it's not. There's a fog that will come in off the ocean that's called the Har. But, so the Har, apparently, the title of the book was referring to that fog, because that fog was rolling in when Muriel found the creature. Not the creature itself was not the Har. So I don't know. But it was okay. It was okay. Okay, not lastly. Next is Haunting Charlie by Wendy Wang. This is the first in the Witches of Palmetto Point series. It was okay. I gave it 3 stars also. I thought it was going to be a much lighter book than it is. So Charlie is a woman who sees ghosts. And so she can also get, like, if she touches people, she can kind of have some clairvoyance as well. But she will often try and help people with ghost problems. And so there's this woman that moves into this old plantation, or inherits it pretty much from her uncle, and she's trying to fix it up, but she's starting to have a problem with a haunting. And so she contacts Charlie and Charlie's cousins, who also have powers of their own, to come out and basically cleanse the house. And what they step into turns out to be more like a lot more dangerous than they thought it was, and a lot more complicated. And it turns out that it's possible that the haunting of this house could be the ghost of a dead serial killer who targeted women back in the 1800s and is connected somehow with missing girls going in the present.
This book sounds amazing.
So, it was okay. It was okay. It was, so it's an indie author, and you can kind of tell it. Some of the writing wasn't the best, and some of the editing was not the best. It was also 284 pages, but it seemed like it was longer than that. I think Charlie sounds like she could be a really good character going forward. She is divorced, and she and her ex-husband have a child, but she has stepped back and allowed her ex-husband to have primary custody of their son for reasons that you find out a little bit later in the book. But I think more books will probably build on that. I think some of the relationships seem a little iffy to me. It's kind of, again, that kind of overblown kind of thing, because the daughter, or the son of the lady who bought the house, is a police officer. And so it goes a little over the top as far as like him being suspicious and him thinking that Charlie is some kind of con trying to get money out of his mom. And because he's a police officer, he like does surveillance on her and tails her. And I'm like, dude, you are harassing her at this point. So that was a little overdone. Some of the kind of girlfriend cousin stuff is kind of iffy for me. But there are also 7 books in this series. And I know when indie authors start to get that kind of length to their series, it doesn't always be too good. But I did like this book. I liked the ghost. It was kind of creepy. And she really did this serial killer ghost up pretty darn good, actually, I thought. So that was really, as far as that stuff goes, was really good. So I will try the next one and see where it's going to go from here. Because I would also like to know more about the cousins and theirs. So I was kind of hoping that like each book would be for a different cousin, but I don't know. We'll see. But it was kind of creepy. I wouldn't say scary, but it was creepy. And, you know, it was scary in a way that like this ghost dude, I mean, dang. There was times I was scared for Charlie. I won't say I was scared, but, you know, scared for her. Okay, so the last book that I read was Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. And I am not even really going to try and explain this book, because holy crap. It's 600 and some odd pages long. It's very complex. It's very complicated, high fantasy book set in this one city. So actually it's in 2 cities, come to think of it. So the setting is like Elantris used to be the capital city of this country, and it was said to be like the shine, like it literally shone, it glowed. And the people, the Elantrians, were like some ethereal angel-like creatures. They glowed, they had knowledge, they had magic. All of this, you know, they seemed to be practically immortal. And then 10 years before this book is set, something happened and that magic like flipped. And so all of a sudden, Elantris turned in this really dark place. And the thing was, like, Elantrians weren't born, they were kind of made. So any normal person could have this thing called the Shead come on them, and they would turn into an Elantrian. So now, like, if someone has the Shead happen to them, they like turn into this like creature, this wizened, old looking leprous, kind of their hair falls out. And anyway, when this happens, they get thrown into Elantris, and like it's all locked up. Nobody can get in and out of Elantris, or so they think. So anyway, it's this dirty, and they talk about this slime that covers everything and all of this kind of stuff. So anyway, kind of fast forward to the present day, and the opening of the book, this prince of this country, the crown prince, wakes up in the morning feeling kind of icky and calls for tea, and the maid comes in and screams and drops her tray, and well, guess what happens? The Shead had come on to the crown prince. So they basically take him in secret, shove him in Elantris, and then tell everybody he died. Okay, so you have the point of view from the crown prince inside Elantris. You have the point of view of a princess from a neighboring country who was coming over. She was supposed to marry the crown prince. And they have this thing in the contract that said that basically as soon as they signed the contract, they were married. And even if he died, she was still considered married to him. So she arrives, and even though they never got married, she is still considered to be the princess of this new country. And I'm purposely not saying names because my mind right now is blanking and I can't remember what they are. So you have that. You also have the point of view of this priest from a neighboring country where at that point that religion has taken over like their government. They're very militaristic, very like fire and brimstone kind of, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
persecute, our way is the only way, we're destroying everybody else kind of thing. So he comes in because the leader of his order has said that he has 3 months, I think it was, to convert the people of this town, because otherwise, or regardless, in 3 months they were coming to invade this country. And the town that they're in is like the capital city of this country. So they're coming in, they're going to take over, they're going to invade this country. And unless this priest can basically, through conversion, take over, have their religion take over the government, that they're just going to come and kill everybody and take over. There's going to be a full-scale invasion. There's going to be war and all this.
That's extreme.
So in a country prior to that, he had been involved with kind of this scourging, and he felt really guilty about it, and he didn't want that to happen anymore. And so he was really trying his best. But he had people within his own order who had already been in this city building a temple working against him. There's this king, this whole government is set up on a merchant system. So like whoever the most successful merchants were higher up. Like the king would just randomly say, okay, you're a duke. And then if they didn't have a good year with their farms or their shipping or whatever, then he'd say, nope, not you anymore. Now you're a duke because you did better. So that is like literally what this, and so the king has to be the most successful of them all. But the king secretly isn't doing so well either. And so there's this possibility of him being overthrown. And then this priest is coming in and working with that so that he can, like, he's trying to convert other people higher up in the government, so they're converted, and then they're going to undermine the king, and there's all this political, it's Brandon Sanderson. So yeah, there's all this going on. So that's kind of your setup, and in the meantime, you've got the prince working in Elantris trying to save the people that are living there, and that's a weird deal on its own. And then you've got the princess that is in here and can see that that this is an unstable situation. It's an unstable government. And she's working with this little group that are also trying to overthrow the king to put somebody else in control. And she's also trying to work against this priest because she knows from other countries. She traveled as a diplomat for her father, who was a king in his country before. So she has seen the results of all of this in other countries. And so she's trying to work against him. And all of this going on.
There's so much happening.
So much going on. And then, believe it or not, it's Brandon Sanderson. It all comes together in the end. So, Elantris is his very first novel. Published novel. And you can tell. The writing is not terrible great. And he's always kind of had issues with characters. Especially women characters. And you see that here too some. So yeah, I mean, it's not great, but God, the complexity of it and the plotting is there. And the imagination in the world is there, especially Elantris and the magic system in that has to deal with that. And it's just really, really good. And there is a romance subplot in this book, which normally I'm not real keen on Brandon Sanderson's romances, but it's not that bad. So, I mean, I can see why when this book hit, this guy took off. Because just the complexity of the world and the plot alone is just amazing. So, that is Elantris.
Nice.
Just trying to say a limited amount of that took forever. Okay.
We'll start with The Guest List by Lucy Foley. So, this book is about a exclusive wedding that takes place on an island out in the middle of the ocean or sea, whatever that would be what an island is, but you know, a very exclusive wedding with a TV star and some other like high-class socialite girl or whatever. And all of their guests come out to this island wedding, and then a whole bunch of drama and murder and wild things happen during this whole ceremony. from the moment the guests start arriving until the moment that some of the guests leave. Because not everybody gets off this island alive. I thought it was pretty good. I listened to the audiobook of this, and I think that definitely helped it. I do think that this is one where you could either really dislike this book because of the characters or really like it because of the characters. Just because so much of the story isn't actually revolving around like the murder and the mystery part of it. Like there's a lot of like just like character scenes where they're just like talking about the good old days in prep school and all of this, and it's just like all of the prep boys and how big of assholes they are and whatever. And honestly, I like that stuff. I have like a little sweet spot for the asshole preppy boys, so I just like watching like TV dramas and stuff that have like that. So like, you know, Gossip Girl and like whatever. Then they have, anyway, the rich preps that think that they're better than everybody else. There's a lot of that in here going on. And the twists in this book were either really predictable or came from way out in left field. So that's why I ended up giving it like 3 stars, because I'm like, what is happening right now? And so a lot of it was just like kind of unbelievable. Like, really? Like, how are you gonna tell me? How are you gonna tell me that all this time, that no one knew this? You kept this a secret for this long? Oh, honey. Oh, honey. No. And it just, I don't know. There was just a lot of things that just like, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense. But I still like kind of enjoyed it. There were some parts that were just like, oh my gosh, okay, like what's gonna happen now? I definitely think that the premise led me to believe that it was gonna be a lot better book than it was, but I didn't hate it. Like I still enjoyed my time. I feel like listening to it helped too, but whatever. Then we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This book is about Pip, a high schooler who's doing her senior capstone project on trying to solve a murder that took place in her town like a couple years ago, I don't remember how long ago, but a big murder that took place in her town involving 2 other high school kids from her school. And I also listened to the audiobook of this one, and the audiobook is really, really good. I highly recommend the audiobook because there are scenes in here where it's like she's conducting interviews and stuff, and so it's like the tape recorder sessions and things, and it like really puts you in the moment, like in the story, like listening to that. It's like you're right there with Pip. It was good. I can definitely see why they turned it into a TV show. But I do think it's also kind of one of those where you have to like kind of suspend your belief a little bit, because we have a high schooler who's solving a murder mystery that the cops couldn't figure out. Okay. Yeah. It's very like Outer Banks, kind of like these teenagers are figuring out everything, which I love. I mean, I love Outer Banks, and like it was fun. Definitely to read. Some of the explanations and things were out there a bit, and they were stretched. They didn't make sense. I definitely wasn't fully convinced on the explanations and what really happened and how it all went down. But it was fun. I wish there had been more of her little sidekick, Ravi. He was so fun. Oh my gosh, I loved him. He needed to be in this book more. And I really liked Pip. She was a very like go-getter. But again, it was one of those things of like, oh, this high school girl's putting herself in these very, very dangerous situations. And, you know, we got drug dealers and potential murderers. And she's just out here like, I can do whatever and I'll be fine. But yeah. And also, there was a scene with with a dog, and it was just unnecessary, and I just that upset me a lot. It upset me a lot, and then the reasoning for why it happened later also upset me. So anyway, I don't know, I do highly recommend the audiobook, and I think that this is still a book that you should read. I'm excited to watch the TV show now, and I also am going to continue on in the series because there's like 2 others, I think. At least 2 others, maybe 3, maybe 4. I don't know. There's a lot more books in this series.
I don't know. We'll find out.
We will find out, but I am going to continue on, and I enjoyed it. Let's see. Camp Slaughter. That's one of the other ones that I read. This book, if you love slashing and gore, oh my gosh, this book is for you. It was so much fun. There are so many good, gruesome murders in it. So much gruesome killing. Like, there were parts in here where I was reading and I literally was like horrified by what I was reading. And that's how you know it's good. It was just like, oh, my skin is crawling. I love it. It was so good. It had very much like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of a vibe with our killer in this book, because he likes to wear people's faces, the victims' faces. Yeah. So it's very much like Leatherface. And I think that this book did a really good job of like giving you a look at the killer, at the backstory of the killer. Like, it kind of explains to you why he is the way that he is and like his reasoning for doing things, because part of the story is told from his POV. I didn't even say what this book was about. I'm just now realizing that. But a group of friends decide to go out to this cabin in the woods. So it also has very cabin in the woods vibes. Like big time at the start. Like, the whole group of friends has that whole vibe going on. And that's another reason why I love this book, because it's one of my favorite movies ever. They go out to this secluded cabin out in the middle of nowhere. And they're going for like a fun last hurrah kind of a party, like whatever, before everyone parts ways and just loses touch. And while they're out there, they go exploring and end up being attacked. Or no, they go out exploring and they find a camp that's like abandoned. It's called Camp Slaughter. And while they're there, they actually get attacked by a cannibal, and they meet these other 2 people that are there doing a documentary on the cannibal that lives in the woods, and like the ghosts that haunt Camp Slaughter and all of this. And a lot of things go down, and like I said, it's very gruesome and there's a lot of killings and it's wild. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed this book a lot, and it was fun, like I said, to see the perspective of the killer too, to have that, because like he was not, obviously he's not all there.
Not okay.
He was not all
not okay.
He's not okay at all. But like his thought processes and stuff, like he was very much like his brain was like the age of like an 8-year-old. Like, he was not fully developed there. And so like, I don't know, it was just wild. It was so wild, and I really enjoyed having both POVs of like all the victims and him. It was just really good, and I highly recommend it, especially if you love slashers. It's so good. Okay, and then finally we have Clown in a Cornfield 3 by Adam Cesare. So this book is about the Church of Friendo the Clown. It's pretty much a cult that, like a very, very extreme religious cult whose god is Friendo. Pretty much, like, Friendo is one of their gods, and there's like this pastor guy that had come rolling into town, and I believe it takes place in the town where all of the Friendo like massacres occurred, like in the other 2 books. So that town has now become like the religious setting for this cult, and this pastor had come into town and started like spewing all of his beliefs and things, and it's weird AF. Oh my Lanta. Like, if you're not a part of their church, then you're, like an apostle, something like, you're the outsiders. Anyone who comes into town that's not a part of their church is murdered by them because they are like the heathens and like the bad influences and stuff. And so like we can't have our people, like we need to cleanse the world of people like you and like have more people like us. So like anyone that comes in, they're just like, you gotta go. And it's wild. And so all that's happening, and then on the other end you have Quinn, one of our survivors from the Friendo massacres from the other books, who's going on her own little witch hunt to try and find all of the people involved in the massacres before, and like she's tracking them down to either like make them pay in her own way, or like she's seeking revenge pretty much for the things that happened to her in the other books. So we have both of these things happening at the same time. It was still a good book. I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it as much as the others because it definitely read, in my opinion, I think kind of like more YA. I don't feel like things were, there wasn't a whole lot of action happening. Like there would be like little bits of things happening, but there wasn't like, I don't know, there wasn't enough to keep me like super entertained the whole time. Like that was a lot of things I'm just like, okay, can we move this along? And some of this like angsty drama a little bit with Quinn and this, what, I don't know, there was just something I'm just like, I don't really care about this at all. I just want to get back to the cult where they're killing people and they're making the people of the church eat the host, which when you find out what the host is, oh dear Jesus, literally they needed Jesus in this book. Yikes. So yeah, I don't know, it was still good. The other two in the series are definitely better. The first one's the best of the three, but I definitely enjoyed the other two better. It was still overall a good series. And yeah, the battery's gonna die on the camera soon, so I'm just gonna end it there. So that was it. That was all my books.
There it is.
There it was. Our October wrap up.
Yeah.
Yep. That was the month we were talking about.
That was it. Yep.
Yeah. Well.
Okay.
I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, go down below that video and hit that little red subscribe button. Join the Everyday Adventurer family where you can see our beautiful faces every Sunday. Hopefully. With new book videos.
Something like that.
Something like that. And also be sure to go and follow us over on Instagram and TikTok at Everyday Epic Book Club.
Yep, and while you're doing that, make sure you check out the rest of Amy's channel because she has lots more than just book content, especially in the month of October where we may have fallen down on the book stuff, but holy crap, she ramped it up for spooky season. So go check all of that out. Also go look at her blog too where she has even more content. Join all that, read all that, become a part of the entire Everyday Adventurer family.
Yeah. So anyway, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and I'm Amy.
And I'm Kelly.
And we are the Everyday Epic. See y'all in the next one.
Bye.